Good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. This is BRN AM for Thursday, June 13th, 2024. And our top story today, EcoTherapy, going back to nature to transform physiological and psychological health. Joining me now to discuss this and a lot more, Dr. Heidi Schreiber-Pan is with Chesapeake Mental Health Collaborative. Heidi, it's so great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thanks for having me.
And I really love this topic. One, mental health, so important. It's a topic that everyone views as important, at least in the United States, and I would posit to say around the globe. There are all different types of therapies. Let's talk about ecotherapy. What is ecotherapy and getting back to nature? How does that help?
Yeah, so ecotherapy invites nature in to the therapy space. And the way I like to think of it is that a therapist now has a co-therapist, the co-therapist being the natural world. So the sessions can sometimes take place as like a walk and talk through a park, or sometimes I even set up these little folding chairs by a stream. And sometimes we even stay indoors, but my office design has become very biophilic, so meaning that it tries to imitate the natural world inside.
Why does this therapy work? And I know talking to you in the green room, we're so during our day-to-day lives captivated by our devices, our televisions, our computers, our Zooms, which you and I are on. Why is this so helpful? Why is this type of therapy helpful? Does this take us back to maybe where we were hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years ago?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like if we take a little side trip back to 2.5 million years ago when we, evolved in the natural world, we have to think about our time spent in nature has been really only cut short in the last 200 years. So during the Industrial Revolution, the human is really the first time that the human moved indoors and for most of our waking and sleeping hours. But our body and our brain evolved outdoors. So when we go back outside and we hear the bird song and we hear the sound of water or even wind, there's a part of our body that recognizes that as our original home. And that has a beneficial effect on our nervous system. So a lot of human-made sounds, for example, like traffic, it activates our stress response because it's a sound that we didn't evolve with, and our brain thinks it could be a threat to our well-being. So there's a lot of things in modern day life that activate our stress response. But when we go back into nature and we hear those sounds and we see the color green or blue, our nervous system likes that, and it's almost like it activates our relaxation response.
And are there certain patients that are better candidates than others for this type of therapy? And I'm thinking, PTSD for our veterans or police officers or anybody, a construction worker. But are there certain candidates of patients that this may be more successful on than others?
So we really believe that, nature, since it's in our DNA, and we humans are nature, right? What I always like to say is we share more DNA with the tree outside our door which is over 50%. We have zero shared DNA with the computer that we're on.
That's true.
So, so I like to believe that we actually all benefit from a deeper connection to the natural world. Now, I would say that people that are dealing with anxiety and stress related mental health challenges, it is especially helpful because of that amazing effect on the nervous system. But again, I do feel like people with depression, or even I'm actually getting ready tomorrow to take people on a backpacking trip for bereavement and grief and loss. So even for grief and loss, this can be really helpful as it kind of slows down our pace, where we can start thinking about, so what is deep down? What are some things that I still need to work with?
Yeah. Well, Heidi, I need to take a very quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about ecotherapy and how you can get involved. Sounds like a good idea, right? You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN. Yeah. Now is your opportunity to co-create content around any topic on the first lifestyle and wellness network. Reach a global audience through our platform and co-own exclusive branded content. All of our programs are available on demand and also as audio-only podcasts, so you can take us on the go. Broadcast Retirement Network, available anytime, anywhere, and on any device. Welcome back. We're joined this morning by Dr. Heidi Schreiber-Pan of Chesapeake Mental Health Collaborative. Heidi, thanks so much for staying with us this morning.
Great, let's go.
Yeah, this is fun. I feel, this is like a walk in the park with you, Heidi. I just want to say. Okay, so Heidi, let's talk about some of the practical aspects of this. Say I live in a city, a big city or a moderate city like Baltimore, moderate sized city. Do I need to, in order to take advantage of ecotherapy, how do I get involved? Do I need to go on the Appalachian Trail? If you're from the Mid-Atlantic, do I need to go to a local park? How can I take advantage of this type of therapy?
Yeah, so, one of the things is that nature is everywhere and it's for everyone. By 2050, we're looking at 75% of the human population being in urban settings. So we do want to develop an eye for finding nature in all places. So in urban settings, there are trees, there are birds, there is the sky above your head. So one of the things we always like to do is put on the glasses of wonder and go out and find things that inspire awe. It could be, a weed going through the cracks in the concrete. That's nature. A cardinal bird that's really red right around here on the East Coast. We see those a lot. They are frequent in urban settings, so it's happening everywhere. Now, there is a progress that's happening in Harvard Health where they're looking to make a nature dose pyramid that's going to be very similar to the food pyramid, where it talks about, so what do we need? How many doses of nature do we need for optimal, mental health and well-being? And they talk about at least 20 to 30 minutes of nature exposure on a day-to-day basis, daily. And then as the pyramid goes up, they say weekly, monthly, and annually. Now, when you get to the top, the annual nature dose, they're actually suggesting to go out into places where mostly you're going to see nature-made, things like trees and fauna, which is more found in, national parks or parks. So, but everyday exposure all the way up to, annually trying to go to a place where you're just surrounded by nature.
And where do I find, you're located in Towson, but where do I find, if I live in the Midwest, for example, how do I find a clinician or someone that can do this? I mean, I would imagine, no offense, but you don't have the monopoly on nature and nature ecotherapy. How do I find someone who is skilled in doing this, and how do I reach out to him or her?
Yeah, so it is just starting in mental health. So this is exciting to be part of the sort of pioneering work. But we have a website that's called Center for Nature Informed Therapy.com, and there's a directory, and you can put in your zip code, and it'll tell you anybody that's working in this field. So nature-informed therapists are coming. We graduated over 200 people from our training program, and they come from all over. We just had someone from Alaska. So it's just starting out, but you can, usually in search engines, if you put in ecotherapy or walk and talk sessions, it's just starting, but there is a good number of people out there that can do that.
Do you ever see a time, Heidi, where we reject the phone or the computer? Is that happening now? Because, and I maybe should have asked, in the beginning of the conversation, asked this question, but we're dealing a lot with mental health challenges. A lot of that based on some studies predicated on social media, the use of the phone. Do you ever see a time where we kind of revert back? We still leverage technology, but we're maybe not as dependent on it for our emotional well-being.
Yeah. You know what's so interesting that you asked that, because we noticed something very interesting during COVID. During COVID, when, we were using screens even more because that was the only thing we could do, right? we would see like adolescents calling our counseling center and saying, I'm only interested in in-person therapy. I don't want to do therapy online right now. And we're like, okay, well, that's interesting. So they're actually asking for in-person therapy sessions because they don't want to be online for therapy because they're doing so much online other things. And then we are also noticing people that are coming in to therapy asking directly for help with their addiction to their phones. So people are noticing, the more I'm on those, the less this is contributing to my well-being. I need to find a way to do this less. And it's not just adolescents, adults, we're just as guilty, right?
Yeah.
We're always on that. Um, and so it's noticing that we get stressed when we spend too much time on those screens, and nature is really the answer to that.
And just as a follow-up, and this is completely out of left field, but so much talk about artificial intelligence. When you're a clinician like yourself and a therapist, you're trained, building on what you just said, there's that connectivity you have to have. And not every therapist bonds with their patient. I don't see how AI, other than maybe helping with some administrative tasks, could even replace 1% of the human therapist.
Well, I'm with you on that one. I think AI is a fantastic tool for admin or just note writing or things like that. But the truth is, therapy works because of our, interpersonal relationship. It's
Yeah.
about that connection, right? And AI, I don't see how that's ever going to replace that. Like we started our conversation talking about the history of humans on this planet. We've always been in these small groups together. Yeah, we were in tribes for the longest time. We need each other, right? We're a social species. And so that's really where I think the most effective piece comes with nature, because we're extending that to becoming in relationship again with nature too.
Yeah, really well said. Yeah, I echo those sentiments, and there's that connectivity. I think there's nothing that can replace that. HAL 9000 from 2001,
Yeah.
maybe semi-close, but he actually turned on them. So that was probably not a good example. Heidi, we're going to have to leave it there. Great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to having you back on the program again very soon.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
That wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a topic of interest, someone you think we should talk to? Drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the latest curated news and lifestyle, wellness, finance, tech, so much more all in one place, check out today's edition of our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. Want to search our archives, check out our latest content? Well, then visit our website. Hey, we're back again tomorrow for another edition of BRN AM. We'll have a very special guest and another important topic. You're not going to want to miss it. Until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe. Keep on saving. And don't forget, roll with the changes. Now is your opportunity to co-create content around any topic on the first lifestyle and wellness network. Reach a global audience through our platform and co-own exclusive branded content. All of our programs are available on demand and also as audio-only podcasts, so you can take us on the go. Broadcast Retirement Network, available anytime, anywhere, and on any device.